Colorbound is a heart-wrenching puzzle platformer where you play as Anku, a young child who is looking to pay his final respects to his late grandfather. The game comes to us from Panpipe Studios, which is an independent developer based in Chile. I found this game originally from the Latin American Games Showcase during Summer Games Fest, and I was concerned that my lack of knowledge in color theory would somehow hamper my experience within the game, but I am very happy to report that that is not the case, at least from what I played in the demo. As mentioned, Anku is a young child growing up in Mexico, and his grandfather would literally paint the world around him with this beautiful music he would play on his windpipe. Unfortunately, he has now passed away, and with that, he leaves a family grieving all around him. Anku's grandmother would state that her partner was once in a band, and hearing them one last time would be a beautiful send-off, and thus, Anku starts his journey to get the band together for one final send-off for his late grandfather. In the basement of your house, you can find a painter's palette, and with that, you can change the background color or the color of individual items in the world. This is used in really effective ways. If an item in the world is the same color as the background, then it just ceases to exist entirely. But using this in conjunction with other colors allows you to pass by objects as needed, as if they aren't even there. As the game progresses, you will gain further abilities such as using the color blue to drop objects with gravity, or even merging touching objects with the same color. It's a surprisingly deep system that only looks to get more elaborate as the demo continues. The game is due for release sometime in October of 2026, but it does not currently have a release date. Although the narrative is obviously the hook for the game, we all know the premise of this game is going to shed a few tears. What I find really surprising about the game is the fantastic lively art style that is presented all throughout. You are looking at the world through the eyes of a child with messy lines and bright colours. It's a fantastic way to envision the world, and even though the story has some really dark roots, the actual narrative journey seems to be that of the joys of life. As Anku explores the world, he will encounter characters who have their own problems, such as Nanny, who seems to have lost his family of llamas. In each section of the world, you will have optional objectives to retrieve these llamas, and the demo doesn't really make it clear what the end goal or reward is for completing these, but I'm sure there will be one in the final game. It's clear to me that just color and jumping puzzles is the main hook of the game, but there will be some side objectives to flesh out the world and its characters just that little bit more. Thankfully, Colorbound seems to be a really solid experience, and there's not really many issues to be reported here. The game does feature a hint system, which I did end up having to use for one or two of the puzzles, but the way that the solution is presented to you via the hint book is in itself actually a little bit confusing. Perhaps this is just user error because it's a short demo and it's an unfinished version of what will be presented in the final game, but my dumbass got really confused as to what the icons actually represented in the hint. There was also a really minor issue where I was using the Steam controller to play the game, but the icons within the game didn't change, and it was instead using like keyboard icons. It was a little confusing, but I'm sure this is something that can be resolved for the final release of the game. Colorbound has an endearing sense of humor, and given the narrative hook of a fallen relative, I have no doubt that we're all going to be soggy messes by the end of this game, as the grandfather's band is most likely put back together, and surely we get to play him off to the afterlife. Now, I would argue that Colorbound is a game that you should absolutely wishlist. This game is just so fantastic, and even though it did have its challenging moments towards the end of the demo, it seems like a game that's going to make a really big impact when it releases in October.